When redemption stories ignore the real victims. A closer look at From Heroin to Christ by Elizabeth Moldovan. Memoirs of survival can be powerful tools for healing, not just for the writer, but for those who see their own pain reflected in the pages. But sometimes, a redemption story leaves out the most important part: accountability, especially to the people most affected by the author's actions. This is the case with From Heroin to Christ by Elizabeth Moldovan, a book that documents her 24-year heroin addiction and ultimate freedom in Christ. While she describes her trauma, addiction, and faith, there's something deeply disturbing beneath the surface: the near-total erasure of the harm she caused her 5 children. The forgotten children. Elizabeth tells us she used heroin daily for 24 years while raising 5 children. But if you're looking for how that affected them, their fear, their instability, their pain, you won't find it here. Only her first child, James, is given any meaningful presence. The other 4 barely mentioned. The reader is never told where they lived, what conditions they endured, what emotional scars they carry, whether she ever apologized or tried to make things right. In a story centered around healing, these omissions are devastating. Scenes of neglect, told without remorse. Even in the brief moments we do see James, we're shown disturbing scenes: being dropped on the floor, fracturing his skull, getting croup after being exposed to cigarette smoke during a baby shower, being left in unsafe environments with abusive children or neglectful roommates, nearly being given up for adoption, then taken back, seemingly as a bargaining chip with her father. And yet none of this is accompanied by real reflection. Elizabeth doesn't say, "I hurt my children." She doesn't ask, "How can I make this right?" She simply moves on to the next chapter. Where's the accountability? In recovery circles, real healing involves more than just surviving. It involves making amends. But Elizabeth never acknowledges the trauma she inflicted on her children, describes any counseling or therapeutic efforts, demonstrates long-term efforts to rebuild trust with them. This isn't transformation, it's narrative control. Christianity is not a cover. The memoir heavily leans into a Christian redemption arc. There's nothing wrong with that. Faith can be a powerful force for change, but in this case, it feels more like a shield than a guide. Instead of dealing with the wreckage of her past, she writes as if finding Christ means her debts are cleared and her victims are irrelevant. But that's not how redemption works. Real faith doesn't erase the past, it compels us to face it. Why this matters. We live in a time where trauma content is monetized and viral worthy, but the people who get hurt along the way, children, partners, families, often get left out of the story. When someone publishes a memoir that centers their survival while silencing the pain they caused others, it's not just dishonest, it's harmful, especially when their victims are their own children. Final thought. Elizabeth Moldovan wants us to believe her story is one of hope, but hope without accountability is just self-preservation. Until she acknowledges her children as more than side characters in her own redemption arc, From Heroin to Christ remains a memoir of escape, not healing.